And we are live. Welcome,
Yes,
my
sir.
brother from another mother, Dan
How you doing?
Kushel. I'm awesome. How are you?
Doing great, bud.
I am been looking forward to this all week, as well as every time we talk, I love just having the opportunity to chat with you, and brilliance always flows from you. So I'm really excited. Anyway, you know what? Rather than me try to give a detailed, professional introduction to you about what you do and how that works, I'm going to cheat. And I'm going to use the video that you sent me. So let me introduce you to everybody, and we'll be right back with you.
Growth to Freedom is all about a platform for leaders, entrepreneurs, intrapreneurs to transform your life, business, and relationships. A place where you can access resources, tools, insights, and wisdom from some of the leading experts around the globe to provide you more clarity, capabilities, and confidence. And you know what's amazing, I grew up in the inner city of Detroit, and I thought baseball would be my way out. And I was fortunate and blessed to have an incredible career that was taking off, but unfortunately I had a few injuries. And so that got derailed, and I had to hit the reset button. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I stumbled into direct response marketing in the personal development industry in the early 90s.
Dan is very actively involved, has a really in-depth background in direct response. He had a company, like 175 employees, did 25 million a year in sales. He really understands marketing.
He specializes in helping entrepreneurs like you and me really simplify their business. Dan Kushel, Dan, phenomenal that I get to share you with the world, because you've been kind of a secret for a few entrepreneurs.
So, and Dan is a genius at distilling down to the core concepts of what to be doing first.
Success to me, when you strip away all this stuff, I'd have to say it's being a great dad, it's being a great husband, and it's being a great leader, leading by example. And I don't know that I'd always looked at it this way, because I realize today that success, being able to go out in the world and make a difference, be able to make money in the world, is all about value creation and transformation. It starts with you. It starts with making the choice that you deserve more. It's about making the choice of being able to shift the mindset from a linear transactional point of view to go out and shoot for transformation, to shoot for the moon, or as Peter Diamandis calls it, that moonshot thinking. Having a massive transformational purpose. So I'd say success to me is having purpose, living life to the fullest, and seizing the day.
I hope everybody that had a chance to watch that, and once the replay is back up, if you want to rewind it, there's something that stuck out for me, Dan, in your little intro there, and I want to say this to everybody watching, because I think it's really important, because I know you, and obviously that's a promotional video, and that's not what we're here to do. We're not here to be all polished. We're here to give true value, make an impact, give some love to everybody, and give them tangible, practical things that you can take with you and go to town on it. And but one thing really stuck out for me was the last 30 seconds of the video when you're just to camera. Guys and gals watching, that's Dan. What he was, that wasn't acting, that was his genuine, when you can think about, a lot of people play the role, I'm a husband and a father first, and really they're giving lip service to that rather than it being genuine importance. And I know that probably wasn't always the way for you, and you had some wake-up calls along the way that created some new come-froms for you. So what do you say about all that? What comes up for you when I share that with you, and everything that I just said? I'll shut up now.
Well, look, we've known each other for the better part of 15 plus years, and like you knew me at one point in my journey as, this obsessive compulsive, not that I'm still not obsessive compulsive. I'm just a little healthier now with that obsession and compulsive mindset. And, I didn't have it right, Josh. I mean, I was, I had my priorities out of alignment. I gave my wife at the time, which is now an ex-wife, I gave her leftovers. I was on the path to give my kids leftovers. I mean, that's just the truth. Like, that's the reality of it. And I had bought this thing, as a condition of success, right? And, as you're listening or you're watching right now, I encourage you, like, what is your condition of success? Because what if that condition of success was actually wrong? What if that condition of success of the experts you've been following, right, is inaccurate thinking, not accurate thinking? See, I didn't know this in my 20s, Josh. I mean, again, because we've known each other for so long, we've had so many conversations about this, is that, one of my early mentors when I was, 1992, right? So I got started at this like prehistoric like you. And
little BG action?
Yes, exactly. And one of the philosophies he said is, put all the 40 years of work into 5 years, right? And you can have the ability to go out and get what most people won't get. And there's a lot of truth to it, but he also shared other things like, you can sleep when you're dead. And, there's some experts out there that are very well known and popularized right now that are teaching this same kind of this same kind of approach. And what if that way of operating is just not true? What if it's not accurate? What if you can actually have a healthy life at home and a healthy business? And for me, Josh, it took that wake up call. We had built, we worked together, right? And, built this company that, grew. One of the couple companies grew to like 20 million a year, as, Joe mentioned in the video, and 175 employees. I mean, we were on a mission and we did things different. And
your nipples were real sore when you were building that. I remember.
Oh yeah. And, and I was, working 100 hours a week, juggling all these different balls in the air that we had going on. And, my daughter was 2, my son had just been born, Kyler. And I woke up one morning with, essentially chest pains and called, our doctor, who you know of. And I said, hey, I'm having these things. He goes, well, it's probably nothing, but why don't you get yourself over to the emergency room to get checked out? And long and the short, I end up in the emergency room 4 days later, a procedure. I had to sign a disclaimer. It said I had a 1 in X chance of dying on the table. And for me, Josh, that was like a huge wake up call.
Sure.
Because I didn't, number one, like, the health scare was one thing. The other side of it was, for that 4 days, I got a chance to evaluate all kinds of thinking, all kinds of doing, all kinds of ways of being. And I didn't want to be a dad where when, my kids were, of age, like, what was your dad like? Well, he provided well, but he was never around.
Right.
And that's where I was headed. Like, that, like, I mean, we you got a chance to see this firsthand as close as anybody in my life. And it was just not the right path. And so ultimately, because of that, it got me to reframe things and really come to grips of the success condition for me.
Right.
Everybody's success condition is unique to them. Like you or me following, we won't even have to mention names, but whoever this expert is, following their path is probably not the right path for you as you're watching or listening. I mean, it might be.
Yeah, it may or may not be.
Yeah. Design your path. Design your things. Like, I feel so grateful today, Josh, that, I think, one of my joys is coaching, young men in football.
Yeah.
And I get to do this. And it's kind of a full-time thing, even though it's more like a volunteer than anything else. But I love it. I love building leadership and helping, take on the field strategies in football, because it's the greatest game in the world for character building, in my opinion, besides business. And then share how that translates to off the field life as a son, a husband, a parent, a father, a contributor in the community, and so many other byproducts. And it's a joy to get, and I wouldn't be able to do that had I not made these shifts to really go, hey, what do I want? Who am I? What do I stand for? And as simple as those 3 questions sounds, I mean, it's really the framework for any success in anything. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that it's funny because that's what I've been talking about for the last 3 weeks in all of the workshop stacks that I've been doing. It's all about like, where is it that you say you want to go? Not where I think you should go, not where the world's telling you to go. Where is it that you say you want to go? And then let's design and let's talk about like what your ideal life looks like. Beyond the money, beyond, like what's your lifestyle look like? What do you want to have that be? And let's work backwards from there. Because I see so often is that when somebody starts dreaming again, we've stopped dreaming. I mean, but when they start dreaming again, the first thing that we seem to do is say, well, wait a minute, because of what's going on right now, the situation, the circumstances, everything that I'm facing right now, I can't do that yet. So I'll, and I just see Max is joining us here. And what's up, Max? And Max said this the other day, well, I need to work on myself first. I was like, well, let's, celebrate the brilliance and embrace the and. Let's learn and do simultaneously because you can't do it any other way, right? So I want to kind of bring this full circle back to you and some practical application stuff, because one of the things that you've always been brilliant at, and I meant to dig up the dedication that I sent to you when I wrote the Profit book back in, I don't know, 7 years ago, because it really encapsulates you in terms of the way that you think, and you're able to distill things down and focus in on the high leverage, high payoff activities, but that's always been how you operate. And, the techniques that you pioneer, that you improve upon are, produced highly leveraged results. And, but what I find really kind of interesting is that you're now with the businesses that you're working with, and, in addition to being very selective about who you'll take on and making sure that they're in sync with you and that they're not draining your energy and that you can serve them the best and all of that, but then you're exuding that come from, and you're applying, you're demonstrating your needle movers by living them yourself, and then also holistically coming at, your clients' businesses and serving them as human beings, and knowing what high driving ambitious entrepreneurs and founders and freelancers, we tend to be extreme and can get out of balance. And so I mean firsthand what's facing. So I would love to dig into your needle movers and your pillars, but I also want to give people the idea and the understanding that this is not only like instant takeaway stuff that can give you incredible results, but it's also universally applicable in a way that you can scale and leverage and go for it.
Yeah, and I mean, like one of the big things we talk about a lot, Josh, and I think we both share this is, and this kind of comes from an adaptation from Harvey Mackay, which we both have been influenced by Harvey's work over the years. He had this great book called Beware of the Naked Man Who Offers You the Shirt Off His Back. So I've got a new framework I've been talking about for months, which is called Beware of the Marketing Theorist Who Gives You the Keys to Building Funnels. Because like we just see so many people heading down the wrong path, chasing that. I just, one of the people we're working with right now is a gentleman who plays in the NFL. He's a current NFL player. He's been in the NFL for 8 years, and he was sharing a story yet again today with me about some of the people that he's followed. And what he realizes today is that his real desire is to help people with essentially their mindset and performance. And he's on a mission to help 1 million people, be able to play big. Think about that term, play big. Mm-hmm. Like just think about that as you're listening or watching right now. Like, what if you just made the commitment to play big? Take out any other surrounding language around it, right? Play big, regardless of where you're at today. How would your life change if you played big in your career, chose to play big in your business, chose to play big in your relationships, chose to play big in your life, your health, what would that mean for you? Right? And he's on this mission, and here's a guy who, you know, you want to talk about one of the most uncertain professions. Everybody sees the glory and the glamour of like the NFL and sports, and, you know, I'm very fortunate and blessed to work with all kinds of these different, you know, kind of cool people. But there's a lot of learning lessons from it, because playing professional sports is one of the most uncertain, unpredictable, uncontrollable futures you could ever imagine, even though most people don't view it that way. And the reason is basically you're a paycheck to paycheck player. Like in the NFL, you are a year by year kind of player for the most part.
Right.
Even
right.
if you sign a big 5-year, you know, $50 million contract, many times very small amounts of it, of the contracts are guaranteed. Right.
So
And
what are
that's the
some
life of the
common,
entrepreneur.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Dan. You just said so much that I want to try to unpack some of this, but where you started, going back to the marketing theorist or the funnel theorist, and going back to, very successful people in their own right. Let's not talk about online versus offline, just successful business owners, successful professional football people. Where do you see right now the biggest opportunities, because there's the biggest myths or things that are going on that people really are accepting as though it's fact, but in reality it's crap. It's not really. I mean, like you really need to test those things. Are there some key things that you can think through that you can give for people to look for?
Well, you know, one that pops up is, you know, this fascination with automation, right? And so, you know, most people that are chasing this path to automation are automating themselves right out of business, which is sad but true, right? The reality is, what business are we all in? We're not in the business we think we're in. We're in the business of relationships.
Right.
If we're doing it right, right? You know, if you take away all the money, you take away all the stuff, at the end of the day, the capital that has the most value, and I think, you know, I first learned this decades ago from Jay Abraham, I think. I try to give credit where credit is due, but it's relationship capital. Relationship capital is the most valuable capital. And so like the highest yield relationship in your life, number one is probably you. If you're married, the next most valuable relationship capital to be investing energy in is your spouse. And see, if you're giving leftovers to you, why should anyone else value you more than you? If you're giving leftovers to your spouse, why should anybody else value you if that's the way you treat the closest person in your life? That's where your front stage life and your backstage life, if they're congruent, I find works so much better.
Now, I know what you mean by front stage and backstage, but do you want to explain that?
At home, what you do out of the office, out of your business, at home, as well as in the business, right? There's people who have this persona of who they are. And I will say that, you know, and Josh, you and I have had real deep conversations about this for years. As many times the people you and I meet and admire and respect as we go behind the curtain or under the hood of the car and really see how people operate can be very disappointing, disheartening, and shocking. What is the real, call it backstage, out of the character life.
Right.
I encourage you, as you're listening or watching right now, again, is like, what if you could do both and have a great at home, out of office, and your business or career life match, and it was congruent. And this is where relationship capital comes in. See, if you look at your business from a perspective of relationship capital, it'll be focused on, we call it the boat. You might want to write this down. B-O-T.
Oh, I love this. Yeah. Go through this.
Outcomes, transformation, and experience. Like, you know, you've heard this before as you're watching right now. What do you probably teach your kids? Always leave things better than you found them.
Right.
Always leave people better than before they interacted with you and engaged with you. Like what, like if you just took those, I mean, these are not anything I invented, but maybe just kind of simplified them and put it into a context. Like what if you just made the commitment to do that in your business and looked at it from a perspective? How could I help this person get a breakthrough? How could I help this person have a better outcome, a transformation experience? I'm thoroughly convinced, Josh, again, we've talked about this a bit too, is like if I really scrape away all the stuff in business and look at, most small businesses, 20 million or under, even large businesses, this fits too. I've reviewed over 4,000 businesses over the last few years, and many of them include Apple, Starbucks, and more. And I'm thoroughly convinced that if you as the founder of your business or you got your team committed to this simple practice and heart space and mind space, that it would change the game for you as it relates to what we're talking about. That is, put yourself into a game of asking and getting into conversation either online, email, virtually, Zoom, whatever the heck it is, virtual conversation or live conversation, and just ask 5 people a day, what's the number one thing you need the most help with right now? And then you just show up as a servant leader to do your best. Like you're not going to be able to solve everybody's problems, but 5 people a day, and you trained your team. If you have 3 people on your team, you got 1 person on your team, you got 20 people on your team, you got 1,000 people on your team, or anywhere in between. 5 a day. What's the number one thing you need the most help with right now, today? Now, 80% of the people you talk to are not a fit for anything you offer at all in any way, shape, or form today. But if you go out of your way to try to connect them to the solution, that could send them a link to a resource, could be send them a connection of somebody you know that might be able to solve that problem for them, or both. And there's more. There's a small percentage, 10 to 20, 25%, that will have a problem related to what you offer in all likelihood. And now you can make your offer only to the people who are qualified to hear an offer because they have a need, they have a problem, they have a situation. And you become a good human being just to connect them with solutions. The karma that will come back. You want to talk about the ultimate referral system. It's just this. Just be a good human being and go, hey, what's the number one thing you need?
Nah, it can't be that. That's too easy.
I know. But if you had to say like, high yield activity, is I really look at over the last, especially the last 15 years since selling 2 of my businesses, what has been the highest yield activities that I've participated in these last 15 years.
Yeah.
Wow, it's that. And it pays dividends in all kinds of ways. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, and you were talking about building relationship and serving people, and the thing that I think people, particularly when it comes to the internet, and you touched on this with automation, being like the black hole that we can get sucked down. And believe me, I'm right there. Like as long as I've been doing this, as long as I've been involved since '97 in the online world, like I can fall into the rabbit holes just like anybody else. But the one thing that I think, like, there's a switch in people's brains that when you're gonna go into quote unquote funnel building or creating a online business model, that all of a sudden we suspend the need to serve people and to build relationship. Like that doesn't apply somehow to your clients, to your customers, to the people that are, even if you're just selling a widget, and there's nothing really different about the widget than anybody else, but you could create the relationship. That's what's so important. And the automation is like, people don't want to create relationship and they're trying to avoid it. And that's why they're having such a hard time in, paid advertising and, all of the stuff that you see that is advanced levels. Once you get the automated version installed and once you're able to scale to that point where you can dial your business up and dial it down and have, systematic certainty in how it plays out, people miss that there's a whole long journey to be able to get to that point. Where
Yes.
it's all about the same thing, like getting to know and serving and building relationship with those people first, before you
Yeah, I mean,
turn it into
getting into conversation, right? Getting engaged, getting into an engaged conversation with a client or potential clients is like the most valuable thing. It's so simple, right? And Josh, you actually taught me this and reinforced this when we did some early work together. And that was interview your clients. Like, surveys are great, but if they haven't paid you money, that there's a certain lesser weight of what they're really saying being of value.
Right.
More valuable is to actually talk to your living, breathing clients. And you conveyed that to me when we did some work together early on. And it was probably one of the most valuable things, not only then, but I look to use every opportunity I can with our clients today. Why? You'll learn more in about 5 minutes of a real true conversation with somebody on the phone, face to face or otherwise, than you will in some little survey where people are kind of manufacturing the answer that they think they want you to hear.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's funny because I'm just thinking back to, 15, I think it was 2004, thereabouts. But I remember talking to you and I'm like, well, it sounds good, but I am so gun shy by the people that I partnered with. And I remember saying, Dan, I'm going to hop on a plane and come out and meet you. And we sat at the hotel bar in the lobby in the bar for hours and just talked to get a feeling of like, is this real? And I'm sure you were feeling the same thing about me. Like you want to make sure that it's so that, and then out of that, what we created, over the next 2 years of business building, we built, a $20 million plus enterprise together. That wouldn't have been if it wasn't for that kind of foundation.
Yeah, and I'll give an example, a quick story. A client we're working with right now. They're very successful. They serve a community of people in the medical industry, right? Medical, alternative medical practitioners, and very successful over the last couple of years. And they wanted to go to that next level. And one of the things, the founder shared, he's like, Dan, I just really want to get out of the day-to-day myself. And, I really want to get myself to a place where I don't have to, do all the selling in my business anymore. Right. And so we said, okay, well, what if we, help put together the 4 pillars that we talk about that are layers of essentially forging engagement and relationships. So number 1, create authority building campaigns. You look at these as like content nuggets, like we call them value seeds. Be like Johnny or Jonette Appleseed, like plant these apple seeds, right? How-to videos that help people, like literally just help people in advance of you working together. And so we created these authority videos that literally you can get to your perfect clients' behavior, interests, psychographics, what keeps them up at night, income levels, and more for as little as like 2 cents to 5 cents per perfect client per view. Right. And you can do this for as little as $1 a day. They got these in place and hundreds of thousands of views to their doctor, the medical profession for their perfect clients, these practitioners. So they built up authority. And there's other ways to build up authority, books, podcasts, and many others. But this is one of the simplest ways, low-hanging fruit for you as you're watching or listening right now, that you could go apply this. Hundreds of thousands in less than 30 days with this particular client. Then on top of that, we believe in using lead campaigns. Why? Move people from one place to your place, right? Wherever that one place is, it could be LinkedIn, could be Facebook, could be Google, could be YouTube, could be this, that, or the other thing. But to move them from their place to your place. Why? Well, when they come into your home, take out online marketing or offline marketing, but just think about it. When someone comes to your home and you invite them through the front door and they spend time with you, there's a greater trust and respect, right? True? Think about that.
Absolutely.
Why do you move them from one place, wherever that one place might be, and there's 4 million options today,
right?
And you move them to your place. All you're looking to do, again, take all this fancy pants funnel, tech speak, techno babble bullshit, BS out of it. You're just developing a relationship. So you're moving them from one place to moving them to your place. Why? To develop a relationship, trust and respect.
Right.
That's it, right? And continue to provide and add value in your place.
Yeah.
Then on top of that, that's step 2. Build a lead to develop a relationship in your place, right? Number 3, education-based events. So this particular, client was like really excited about what we've shown him, blueprinted other clients we've worked with where we had, proof. Long and the short of it, he said, I'm willing to invest the money to host an educational event. And we basically said, how big? And we said, pretty big. So we had over 8,000 people register for his 3-day event, right? Now, the registrations, truth be told, are not inexpensive. If you're new to this world, I'll just share with you, they invested over $80,000 in 30 days.
Which is pretty
Now, most
good,
people-
actually.
Yeah, which is really great. And, think about 80 grand to get over 8,000 registrations, 8,000 registrations, right? So it's about $10 per subscriber to attend this 3-day event.
And just so everybody is real clear, that those are great numbers. Even though it might sound like a big number, $10 a registration are phenomenal job. And that's what Dan just shared the keys to the kingdom with you on how to create that kind of pent up demand for that. Go ahead.
Yes. And so now, and this is coming through this, not separate, these are all working together. So you got authority campaigns going and lead campaigns developing the right, bring them into your home, so to speak. And then now hosting an education-based event, sometimes as far in advance as a month, right? 8,000 registration, all these things working together. Through the education event, they make an offer and they have a premium. I'm not going to go into all the details, but it's a premium program. We would call a premium offer, a premium program like a mastermind or a coaching or a hybrid of that, between $15,000 and $25,000. Okay. Hosted the event. We'll just say that it was what the client told us. They did more in the event in essentially 1 month than they had in all of last year. And they're already very successful. And it's still going because there's more follow-up to be done.
The ongoing, yeah.
Right? So it's step one is you're new to this, so practical guidance, practical wisdom you can apply. 1, work to build authority campaigns where you show up and add value in advance. Number 2, move them from their place or other places to call it your place. Again, take the fancy pants funnel talk out of it, right? Pillow talk, funnel talk. Like take all that fancy pants funnel talk out of it. Their place, your place, build a relationship, build trust and respect. Number 3, host education-based events. Now, again, there's all kinds of fancy pants lingo being tossed around out there. And I apologize because another phone is ringing here in my office, but you can probably hear it. But
The
nonetheless,
good old days where fax machines and
Yes.
remember how you had all those daisy chains?
That's right. That's right. So, so education-based events, don't get hung up on names of events. I know people are throwing around like challenges and summits and workshops and you name it, right? At the end of the day, it's an education-based event. Education-based event, there's an offer made and you're going to have certain conversion, right? Some conversion's going to be good, some's going to be low, some's going to be somewhere in the middle. But the key is make some offer to go deeper with you. And if you provide the value in all these 3 areas the right way, don't be shocked if you see a 2-to-1, 3-to-1, 5-to-1. In this case, the client had well over a 20-to-1 ROI on what they invested in their ads, right?
And
So
that
ads
was
should
immediate,
not,
right? I mean, that
short
it's-
or long term, cost you a penny. It should be a multiplier for you, which leads to the 4th pillar. This is just the beginning, right? We're not even factoring the lifetime value we call a maximizer, right? There's all kinds of maximizer, but one is like, what if the clients that they enrolled in those premium type programs are clients because they're served well 2, 3, 4 years, which is expected with this particular client? What if now they offer for the people who didn't and couldn't move forward on the premium program? Now the next offer was something that was like a mini program, right? What if on top of that, maybe they had like Josh, like one of the maximizers we put in place in the work that we did, and then we introduced this to other clients over time, was, offline to online. Here's a multiplier maximizer strategy that if you use it, it will work for you. But some people are just too lazy and too cheap to do this.
Yeah.
And here's what it is. When you generate an online lead, actually try to get into a physical conversation with them on the phone. We usually can help a company more than double revenue and 10x profits by this one thing. When Josh and I worked together, when we did this, and Josh shared, oh my gosh, this is the best results we've. because we didn't rely on one, whereas most of the experts out there, they go online marketing, and that's what they hang their hat on. Others
Well,
go
and
offline telemarketing. This is what we go. Hey, like, what if you combine it? What if you multiply it? What if you maximize it and do both?
yeah,
Right. And it's a game changer. You know, we had a client, Vinny, who was generating, X number of sales a week of clients. We showed him this simple maximizer where take the online leads who don't convert, make a call, service them, say, hey, let me run an idea by you. If it works for you, great. If not, no problem. And then make a soft offer. It's more of a customer service call than a sales call. They added millions of dollars to their business per quarter with that simple online and offline combination maximizer strategy. Another strategy that's a maximizer is like, okay, add a complementary type service on top. You had something at the time. Can we talk about the 2CC thing, or is that?
sure. Go ahead.
Okay, so Joshua, you may know, he invented something called the 2 Comma Club. He invented it. He created it. He forged it. At the time, we had distribution. Like, we had a lot of clients, and we had continued to build clients, and then we worked together to even make it even bigger and stronger. And what we did is when someone came online, what we would do was automatically give them the ability to upgrade into what was called the 2 Comma Club newsletter for a subscription fee per month, right? But then anybody that didn't get it, that did buy, we would call them and go, hey, why don't we go ahead and give it? We would have like literally over 30-40% say yes by just us following up. So the key to this is follow-up. Make follow-up offers in a cool way, non-salesy, non-hypey. Get rid of the pillow talk, get rid of the funnel talk, get rid of the techno BS, get rid of the fancy pants stuff. Relationships.
Yeah,
right.
for sure.
You probably have a more accurate recollection of the numbers, but I seem to recall we had like 10,000, 15,000 people that were on our paid model with the 2 Comma Club.
In the 2 Comma Club, not quite that much. It was in the 5,000 to 6,000 a month range at our peak. But we had it was a rolling. The average life cycle was about 4.5 months, 4.6 months.
Yeah, and it was a $50 a month program, and so you can do your own math at 5,000 times that, and like that was a business in and of itself. On top of that, right, we also offered some other services and programs to enhance the experience. Again, breakthrough outcome. Anyway, there's a lot to this, of course, but ideally, as you're listening or watching right now,
can I just interject one thing before you sum up? What strikes me is in the story that you just told, the thread that goes through all of this when you're following up and doing the phone calls, when you're doing a marketing process or a communication plan in the online world or offline, however you're doing that, it's still the thread of a relationship building process. And I remember that when I put the application in place, and the way that people were introduced in the marketing and the way that it communicated the value build and built relationship, by the time they applied to become certified, the relationship was established that I remember that there wasn't much difference between somebody that had filled out the application and had not yet moved forward in actually applying to become part of the certification program and actually, like getting cold feet or getting scared or whatever, losing track of time. But it was because of the relationship and the heavy lifting that was done through that process that when you could then pick up the phone, if I recall correctly, I do, I don't want to give away too many numbers, but it was like 70% of the value in a quote unquote inquiry lead versus a paid purchase. And both were very valuable. So I mean like that, but it just is that root, that thread of the relationship build. And I know that your time is limited, Dan. What did you want to sum up? What are the 4 pillars? Is the boat your way or?
Yeah, so a couple of things, what are a couple of the biggest things that you can do as you're watching right now, like for your business today, practical takeaway value. So, there's a lot we've uncovered, and you get to witness my ADD brain going all over the place too, and just a casual, fun conversation with Josh. And, that is, if I had to sum all this up, what Josh and I are talking about, relationship capital, right? Relationship capital being the ultimate, right? Automate to supplement and complement what you do, but don't get hung up on automation to build your business, right? Make it relationship driven. Focus on the boat, BOTE. I'll add a caveat and a bonus piece to this idea. The companies, the founders, the CEOs, as you're watching right now, if you will focus on turning your business, if it's not there yet, or just make it even better, and you focus on creating a buyer's model, a buyer's method of experience with you instead of a seller's culture, right? You really develop the buyer's culture instead of a seller's culture. What happens is like you turn it from like, let's do business together. Like this is the old school approach, like traditional selling, right?
Yeah.
Beware of traditional. By the way, this happens to be a gift that I got from Damon John when we did some cool stuff together. It says, Dan, may you open only letters of prosperity and good fortune. Like,
nice.
Again, all of these things, like even what we're sharing today, these can be used for like helping and being a tool for good.
Sure.
Or it could be a tool for like hurting somebody.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it can hurt you, right? So use these for a tool for good. Buyer's culture versus seller's culture. Like how would that shift the game if you really got great at creating an experience, breakthrough, outcome, transformation that's a buyer's culture instead of a selling culture? Next, what are the steps to take? The 4 pillars. Number 1, focus on building up your authority campaigns. An easy, simple way for most people to get started is to run these pay-per-view kind of ads for a penny, 2 pennies, 3 pennies per client, for $1, a couple bucks a day, and build up your affinity, trust, build up respect to your perfect clients. Number 2, move them from their place to your place to develop the relationship. Invite them in your home, right? That's what a lead campaign would be about. Number 3, host education-based events of some kind. Now, this can be evergreen. It doesn't have to be you doing these events all the time. It can be like one time and then replay it over and over. Josh, you and I have stories like, I know others invented the whole idea of these automated things, but you remember 15 years ago when we met, one of the fascinations you had was my automated thing that was
it was awesome. It was brilliant.
And then I would come on live for the last 15 minutes of it most weeks. And, it was a great business model 15 plus years ago before someone invented it 3 years ago or whatever. But anyway, but
we're not bitter.
Host education-based events, right? And then number 4 is consider where can you maximize the opportunities in the experience. And if you do those 4 things, focus on relationship, focus on breakthrough, outcome, transformation, experience, and focus on being Johnny or Jonette Appleseed and plant a lot of value, get into conversations with 5 people a day. What's the number 1 thing you need the most help with right now? Don't be shocked if your business grows 2x, 3x, 5x, 10x with a whole lot less stress and a whole lot less work from you. There you go.
Thank you, Dan. And the danger is that I really do think a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, that's too simple." Yep. But that's how you've been able to literally add 7, 8 figures to bottom lines, at breakneck speeds. It's please take what Dan just gave you and put an element. I mean, it's so simple that you can put it into action right now and see results next week, today, tomorrow, and so on. So, Dan,
I'll give you another really quick story, Josh.
Go for it. If you got time, go for it.
His name is Bruce, and Bruce is an artist. He's a great artist. He's got commissioned paintings, art museums, his stuff is in, all this stuff. And another thing that he loves Josh coaching and training people. Right, so he's got a coaching and training business, and yet I got introduced to him through a friend of ours, and he was telling me what was going on. He was following 20 different experts, and so what does that mean? You're not following anybody. Yeah. You're just in confused, tech overwhelmed.
And unfortunately, that's typical, right?
Yeah, very typical. It was like where I was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, in a lot of this stuff. We all have been there. If you're there, by the way, you're in the right place. You're in the right place for sure. And so I went, Bruce, time out. Like, what if we can get rid of all the fancy pants funnel BS? And I said, what do you like doing? He said, I love teaching. I love coaching. I said, well, what if we could just take that and turn that into your opportunity? And he's like, well, how would we do that? I said, can you set up a Zoom meeting? He goes, yeah. I go, well, let's screw the fancy pants funnels and worried about all this automation BS. Let's just host a Zoom meeting.
Right.
Host a Zoom meeting. And I said, how many contacts do you have? He said, well, between all of my social media and my email, I like, from what I recall, it was 400 people total, all of it. I said, well, here's like a little message to send out to invite them for your meeting. And he sent it out. And he had 125 people register for this training and meeting. He had over 70 people show up, Josh. And then he did his presentation. He taught people the fundamentals of art. And for him, art is more than just art. It's beyond art. It's a way of developing peace and confidence and creativity and a whole lot more, right? And it's a vehicle, and he's passionate about it. And then he offered his coaching program at the end of his first version. It was 3 hours later before he did that. And even all that being said, he had 4 to 5 new people that enrolled in his coaching. And we regrouped, and I said, hey, Bruce, what'd you like most? He goes, oh, I just love teaching. I love doing it. I said, well, what if, Bruce, we just kept it this simple and you just repeated this since you like it, if you want to, it's your choice. You just do this each week for the next month or 2 or so. He goes, oh, I would love that. I said, well, let's just repeat it. So we did. And we had him change up when he made his offer. Instead of waiting 3 hours, we said, make the offer about 45 minutes in and then continue to teach after you make your offer. And so he did, and he changed it. Long and the short, Josh, in 30 days, he had 39 new coaching clients.
Nice.
60 in 90 days, I'll fast forward the story. 90 days later, he had 119 new coaching clients in his business.
Wow.
And he had over a 4,000, if I recall correctly, about $4,000 a month and also recurring revenue from scratch. So this is a guy.
And in a traditionally like an art oriented framework where like, well, you can't do that in, my business is different. I can't do that in this type of an environment.
Yeah. Now he's so excited and we're moving into evergreen campaigns and models and stuff like that, which is just a joy. And he's just such a great human being making a big difference. So all of that being said too, it doesn't matter where you are today.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you've had success and you just want to take it to another level, or you're maybe more new like Bruce, because you might be naturally wondering, well, if I'm new, can I do this? Right? Yes, the answer is yes. So I encourage you, apply what we're sharing with you today. If you have any questions on any of this stuff.
How can people find you and gain your insights directly?
Yeah, if you'd like to have a conversation to learn how we might be able to help you, triple your business or more and do it with a lot less stress with some of the things we've talked about today, just go to breakthroughstrategycall.com. Pick a time. We'll have a 30-minute conversation, talk about you, your business, where you are, where you want to go. We'll give you some options of how we can get there. And if we feel we're a good fit, we'll talk about our stuff. And if it doesn't seem like it's a fit, we'll look to get you connected. Kind of the same thing that we talked about today. We walk our talk. We'll get you connected to what we feel are some of the best resources that will help you right now, today, solve your biggest challenges, problems as far as getting clients daily. So go to breakthroughstrategycall.com. If you want to get more info or know more about what we do, and we've had, Josh, as you know, we have so many people who go, man, I've followed your podcast, and your podcast is better than most multi-$1,000 courses and programs I've ever
Without
bought.
a doubt, without question.
So if you want to get a taste of that, we've got literally over 300 hours now of training available on our podcast. You can go to growthtofreedom.com. That's growthtofreedom.com and check that out. And there you have it.
Yeah, and I just want to put my 2 cents in for all that. Number one, I think you're crazy if you don't go and subscribe to Growth to Freedom and get on the list and see how he conducts his marketing, but also get acclimated, because the people that he interviews, that he has access to, are phenomenal and just a true joy to listen to. And the value add there is incredible. So that's number one, the growthtofreedom.com. I think, everybody should be a subscriber to that program. And I would do it through your website rather than through YouTube or iTunes all of that is great, but I would also highly recommend that you opt in so that you can get a direct connection to Dan and have some ongoing communication and see how that all works. And then also, I just want to put in a little my 2 cents worth. When you go to breakthroughstrategycall.com, I think in this day and age, when you hear strategy session, it's become commoditized, and I just want everybody to know that this isn't some, high ticket type offer and where you're going to be pressured into it. Dan invented a lot of these techniques, but it's not from a standpoint. A lot of people are copying what Dan's doing wrong. And what he always does is he leads with value, he leads with service, and it's true when he said that if we can't help you, we will point you in the right. That is not a line. That is legitimately, because he can only work with certain people that resonate, that so that he can do the best work for you, with you, and serve you the best. And so like, he practices what he preaches. He talks his talk and walks the walk. So I just wanted to put that in there.
Awesome. And as you're going out there today, again, I'll hold this up. You might be wondering, why am I holding this up? This is called a pattern interrupt, by the way. So this is, you can choose to use these tools that you've been given, right, as a tool for good, like this one opens letters, ideally, right? Or it can be used for, it's all a choice.
You could use
right?
it as
So
a toothpick
ideally,
too.
You could. I could use it as a way to cut my hair, I suppose.
There you go. Scratch and itch. Be careful though.
That's right. So go out and use these tools for good. Make a difference. Whether it's with us, find somebody that can help you, have that bigger impact, have a bigger reach, have a bigger contribution, and be a force for good.
Yeah. Amen. Well, with that note, thank you so much, Dan. I really appreciate. Oh, in the comments, in the description on all of the sites, there's a link directly to all the things that Dan's been telling you about. But also, there's a direct link into the interview, the most recent interview that I did. He was gracious enough to invite me to be a part of his 300th episode celebration with his favorite people, and thank you, Dan, for including me in that, because that was awesome. But the link is in the comments right there. Max is saying, wonderful, thank you, Dan. Thank you, Max. Appreciate you contributing and being a part of this. So you can click on that link and go directly to the episode, and I highly recommend that you become a part of his circle of sphere of influence. So thank you so much, Dan. I'm excited to share things with everybody.
Thanks, Josh.
Talk to you all real soon.